The real problem in the West is not that our prospects are not good. It's elements in our own countries and our own societies that do not want us to succeed.
Yeah.
They do not want us to succeed.
They want to tear down the current system.
They want to tear down. The modern left, well, called Marxist often, is not really socialist. It's nihilist. Its ethics are entirely nihilist. And it's all about ripping everything down. I could go into, all the reasons why I think this is so. It doesn't really matter what the explanation for it is. It's all bad, and it needs to be fought and opposed.
Where is this illiberalism coming from? That this is complicated. You call it nihilist, but there's this. It's new on the left to have this illiberalism, right? And that's something that we didn't really have that as much, or did we always have this massive?
Well,
illiberalism?
it's always been on the extreme left.
But it's kind of, so it's leaked into the rest of society.
What the far left and the far right always have in common?
They're both illiberal.
Yeah, they're both illiberal. It was always illiberal.
Yeah,
it was always illiberal. And
yep.
Anyone who says that, Marxism was distorted into totalitarianism by the Soviets or the Chinese, whoever, is missing the whole. You read original Marxism, the totalitarianism is at its root. Mm-hmm. Marx's view was that, and you hear the same terms thrown around today, that his opinions were not opinions; they were science. And anyone who disagreed with his thoughts on what is happening today or what will happen in the future is not merely wrong on the issue, he is going against the fundamental science of humanity.
Really, so Marx would say you're going against science and you disagree with me a lot.
And therefore, because you're simply arguing against facts, then you get to the kind of Soviet mentality that all dissent is essentially a mental illness, or something that needs to be re-educated and corrected,
or banned from social media.
And
no
this has been that crowd's philosophy, going back, by the way, before Marx, to Rousseau and others, and it's become now, since the '60s, very large in university movements and university campuses.
Are we at a cultural tipping point? This is spread everywhere. Is this going to continue? Are we reaching a peak? How is this going to play out?
I hope it doesn't. If it plays out, our societies fail.
So we have to fight it.
Our societies fail. Democratic societies, democratic capitalist societies, and I think the two are inseparable, by the way. The reason we succeed over time is not because we ever quite get it right. In fact, our societies are too complicated and pluralistic to ever get it exactly right. Mm-hmm. It's that when we make mistakes, they tend to correct over time. Eventually, the worst problems.
There's self-correcting mechanisms where authoritarian societies don't have as many self-correcting mechanisms.
No, they have the opposite.
The governments double down on mistakes.
Tyrants, authoritarians must double down, because the claim to an authoritarian's claim to power is that he is specially gifted and always right. As soon as an authoritarian says, "Oh, that was a real screw up," that's kind of the end of then somebody else says, "Well, I'm the guy who will never screw up, not you." This is why I think democracies will prevail, but let's be under no illusion. We will still only prevail in the end if we make better decisions than they do. What's so threatening about what I say is the kind of far woke left is that it's trying to end the democratic system. I mean, it's not just trying to pass big deficits in modern monetary theory and new education systems. It's trying to snuff out any opposition to those things. Its goal is authoritarianism.
Yes, you stop freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of thought, freedom of property.
But that will not succeed, because that authoritarianism is so obviously inferior and incompetent to the Chinese version that it cannot possibly prevail.